Everybody think they own the rights to the black body, but nobody own me.
I love this shit. Like, I live for it. And it's like, that's who I want to be surrounded by. I came from the Spike Lee camp as an intern, production assistant, then assistant director. But while I was ADing, we were producing films. Now it's kind of cool to be a filmmaker, to be a creator. New filmmakers, they don't know what they don't have, so they just do. That's why it's think, do, because, you know, it's process over perfection. There's no such thing as perfection.
Hi everyone, it's Shayzik, founder of Visually Inspired Productions and also your host here at Creator Convos. I'm so excited to be here today with my friend, like forever friend and collaborator, Michael Boogie Pinckney. Boogie has been an assistant director, I mean honestly everything under the sun, but is currently a producer director, and it's been beautiful to see all that he's been doing in the industry. So we're just gonna jump right in and get some gems for us all to be inspired by. Can you talk a little bit about where you come from?
Born and raised Brooklyn. And, you know, I came from the Spike Lee camp, as you know, as an intern, production assistant, then assistant director. But while I was ADing, we were producing films at the same time, you know, and making films because we had to hone our filmmaking skills. Even if we was working at MTV, we was working in the business, but we still needed to become filmmakers. And I feel like we had a mindset, and people still need the mindset now. It was like to shoot and not wait, and we didn't wait. And it's kind of like, you know, I think people are kind of, they got into that mode now just because of technology. Before, we didn't really have technology on our side. That was that journey, you know, and it seems so far away, you know. I haven't AD'd in 10 years. I've been writing and directing, you know, but I've AD'd for 20. I mean, it's insane how long the journey has been, you know. So, you know, so you just stay focused on the front window and you don't look back often.
That's right. Well, and like talk about that a little bit. I think that there is like the creative process and even coming up with what the thing is. And then there's the actual doing it, right? So, and a lot of people I think get stuck in the what it is. Also, what's holding us back from going? So double question.
I mean, but I feel like they're connected because I feel like back then we didn't really think about it. We were working in the business, so we knew what to do. We knew how to execute. So we didn't really get so caught up in, the story and what we got to do. What do we need? We just we knew how to do it. And we did it. And I feel like, you know, as you get older in the business, you start to think of the things that you need versus the things that you have. We had a lot of things to our disposal back then, and we now have more now. So it's kind of like, you know, but, you know, I feel like that's the thing that we get in our way sometimes. But, you know, it's just the mindset of just doing. You know, it's think, do. I have that printed on my wall. Think, do. And that's still the mantra that I use now.
Yeah. And you think is it fear that gets us from doing?
I think it's fear, but I also think it's knowledge. You know, they don't use the term ignorance is bliss for nothing. I feel like sometimes we know so much that it forces it cripples us at times. Because we need this, we need that, I need to, and it's like after a while, you know, and people, new filmmakers, they don't know what they don't have, so they just do. That's why it's think, do, because, you know, it's process over perfection. There's no such thing as perfection. You know, iPhone, red camera, as long as you have a story, as long as you want to tell a story, it's kind of like, I just don't even think about it. I think that's the thing. You think too much, but you think. You know, why are you thinking? We already know. We know. We've been doing it. We could do it with our eyes closed. Do we really have to think? No.
I mean, it's very real. It's very real. I think I'm curious, you know, you just talked about new filmmakers. What do you think is the biggest difference between like when we came up versus now?
I feel like when we came up pre-Google. So we had to, our knowledge was applied knowledge. Versus now, you know, knowledge is kind of given. You can kind of get knowledge without having to apply it or learn it or have hands-on. So I feel like, you know, it's not as respected as much. You know, experience isn't respected, you know, because you didn't have to stand in the corner or work for this film or work on a video for 20 hours. You don't really have to do that to know about what happens behind the scenes or this new camera that came out and now you can buy it. Versus when we came up, it's like cameras are so expensive. Everybody didn't have a camera. So if you shot a film, you had to be tight. There was no room for mistakes. Now you could just play around. It's a novelty now. Back then it wasn't a novelty. So I think now it's kind of cool to be a filmmaker, to be a creator, so you gotta, it's kind of diluted in my opinion, because it's filled with a lot of people that don't love it. Like, I love this shit. Like, I live for it. And it's like, that's who I want to be surrounded by. I don't want to be surrounded by people that's, oh, it's cool. I'm just, I got nothing else to do, so I'll do it. So I think the love for it is one of the differences, and the respect for it is one of the differences that separates the old school from the new school. But don't get me wrong, there's a lot of new school cats that is about that life, that love it, that want to do it, that have a passion for it. But, it's just, it's not as much as it used to be to me.
No, I agree. I think for me, honestly, it's just being on set and being even in the edit, like, it's almost like breathing. I don't think. It's just intuitive, and I just want to be there and know how to move. Can you talk to me a little bit about how you transitioned, like, over the years? I mean, I feel like you were constantly doing it, but really the transition from being mainly an AD doing independent projects to now doing your own full-fledged projects. And I would love to jump into some of your projects right now as well.
I mean, realistically, it kind of started when I was an intern. The mindset, because I was working as an intern on a film, and I was watching the truck like interns do, and the camera operator, Phil Odica, OG camera operator, he came on the camera truck, and he was like, hey, kid, I was 19. What do you want to do? And I'm like, I want to be a director. And he looked right at me and said, okay, so go and direct. That was and I bumped into Phil Odica 5 years ago on the subway, and I told him he didn't really understand how that conversation spoke life into me, because he said, go and direct. So from that moment on, I always was trying to direct. And I was an intern. I have no idea I had to go through the process of intern, PA, AD, but that struck me in such a way where it was like, okay, don't wait. Okay, you want to direct? Go and direct. And I was like, it really kind of affected me in a way, and I was never the same after that. So I feel like the journey, you're always on this process, and I was directing when I was a PA. I would be on lockups looking at the scene and thinking about how I would direct it. So it was like I felt like I was always a director, and I was a student of directing, So, I mean, I minored in film in school, but that's not where I really got my practical experience. My experience came from being on set, working with, your award-winning directors, and just kind of being a student of it. But that transition was gradual. And that's the thing, is young people sometimes say, they go to school, like I meet, and then they come on set and they like, okay, they want to be Steven Spielberg tomorrow. But that process for me was very gradual, and it was a process. And what that does for me, in my opinion, it makes your foundation a lot stronger.
I mean, for sure. I think it's constant, and you have to be nimble, and you have to understand the power and the pivot as well on top of it, right? It's like when you hold on to like, this is the way it has to be, you're going to come up against a wall and have to figure it out. But I definitely agree. I was just saying it the other day that, when you come up the way that we came up, you have respect for everyone on set. You have respect for what everyone does. My first music video job, Kanoko got me a job at craft service for free. I was an intern.
And you loved it.
I was so happy. But my point is, I have that respect for crafts, for everything, versus when you jump ahead, and not to suggest that you can't still have that respect, but you have an understanding when you are running a set of what and how you need to speak to people, and you can speak their language, But I also think it's so beautiful when you just talk about the growth and it's still happening, Boog. Like every project you learn something, every project you take something away that makes the next one better or different, or you shift, or you learn a new technique. Like,
You have to, because we talked about that, or you'll become a dinosaur. We've come up in the business with not a lot of us still left. That's just the reality. Because, some people don't know how to change with the times, because times are changing fast, real fast. So, and I always kind of felt like I had my foot in the old school kind of way, and I always kept my foot in the new way that was always coming. So I never really was an elitist like that. Because sometimes I feel like, people that in it a long time could be elitist. They could be like, oh, this is how you do it. And they could be kind of stuck in their ways. And it's a mindset. It's like some people can go big and can't go small. And it's like that's where the industry, you see where the industry is moving. Even Netflix wants to move to more smaller budgets. You know what I'm saying? That is not sustainable to do it that way anymore. So, I'm glad that we kind of were always minimalist in our approach. You know what I'm saying? We really, let's go. What do we need? Okay, let's do, but some people can't, they don't know how to operate when they don't have everything they think they need.
So can we jump into what you've been up to as of recent?
Okay. Well, I just recently, the last thing I did this year, I wrote and directed a Tubi original for Mar Vista. I can't say the name yet, they didn't announce it yet, but it comes out June 27th. And, so I pitched Mar Vista, and a couple of projects. They liked one. I went to script, I wrote it, and I directed it in January, at the end of January. And we in post, we just finished color. We're doing the sound, you know what I'm saying? And now you find yourself in this almost studio system now, because, and we came up where everything was a studio system, because when every project we worked on, they had money. Nowadays, they ain't no money. So they ain't no the editors in the suite and you doing it, and you got 5 different people a part of post-production. Is one person doing everything. So it was nice to be in that studio system again. We have all these resources, but you have a little less control. But, it's fun. I can't wait for it to come out. I had a good time shooting it. It's about hip hop, and and we constantly have to fight to get it. I have to fight to get it, and I'm fighting to get the next one. And it's so I did a documentary, Trafficked, over here. I shot a feature film last year in 4 days. I know.
What?
I know. 4.5, because I had to do a pickup day. But but I wouldn't be able to do that if I wasn't an AD at my core. And I could shoot 20 pages a day. It's like, everybody's not built that way. And, but sometimes you can't wait. You have to shoot. You have to figure out, how do we do it? I don't want to write a script and be like, oh, okay, put it on the shelf with the 10 other scripts. How do you produce it? Because to me, that's the end. That's the end goal. Everything else is not so what, but everybody has a script. Everybody does.
So my question then is, when you're in your writing process, are you considering that? Like, are you considering locations? Are you considering all those things of how you would get it done? Here's the question, really. It's like, do you write for, the stars and then you land in the moon? Or like, when do you do the pullback?
I feel like the pullback in the industry has happened. So as a writer, director, producer, I'm always writing to produce. And that's what it is. And even this movie that I shot, they gave me guidelines. Okay, they're not playing those games. You ain't writing a helicopter in it. You're not writing the car chase. Like they're not giving you the option. And we saw with the writer's strike, it's like the power has shifted, in my opinion. The writers the writers used to have the power in Hollywood. They don't have it anymore. So I had to because the producers got the power, and I have to always put on my producer hat when I write, because I know that I want to produce it at the end of the day. I'm not writing, oh my God, this is amazing. It's like, if I can't produce it, who cares? So I have to write with guardrails. And I wrote last year for an all-black TV series called Terror Lake Drive. And the same thing, it's like 25 days, they shoot the 7 episodes. The showrunner, Jerry, said, don't, let's just be free. But we have to be very mindful, because when you're working with a certain price point, you can't write for the stars. You know, and that's, I feel like that's us being mature, realistic writers and producers. We have to be realistic. And I know people that, oh, we don't want to, button down your creativity. We want to stop. And it's kind of like, this is a business. It's a business. Yeah, and being in the writer's room for Terror Lake, you understand there's deadlines, there's things you have to deliver, and it's like, that's just what it is. This is some grown man and grown woman shit. That's what it is. You know, we ain't playing in the sandbox no more. We talk about this all the time. It's like, this is real.
No, it is. There is definitely, I think, the whole return on investment and like people wanting to understand, because again, we come from the huge budget days. Like, I consider some of the music videos that we worked on in those budgets, and now you're lucky to get, $5,000 for a music
don't work
video.
no more. Yeah, you just, like, the return on investment, it was just like the candy store, just people running around spending money, and now they're like, wait a second, how do we make this money back so, those days are over?
Okay, so final question. What advice do you give to creators in general, and also to stay inspired? It's frustrating out here and it's hard, but we keep going.
Right.
So let's talk about that.
Right. And imagine, we have those conversations. Imagine people that haven't done as much as us, haven't seen as much as us. So for me, I'm very God-centered. So, to me, you have to kind of, understand what your why is. Why are you doing it? Because it's too hard. You're not going to get rich. It's too hard to not know why you're doing it, or to think that you're going to be lit or you're going to be faint, just like it. So find out what your why is, because your why is going to be the thing that kind of holds you down in those tough moments, so, understanding what your why is, and then being super focused. I'm like, to the point where you're a little insane. I'm a little insane, and I love, and just going back, Kendrick is insane. That's why you typically don't mess with people that are insane, because they move differently. And I'm the same way. I got stuff written, calendar. I got shit all over the place because I'm super focused. I'm neurotic. I'm insane. And you gotta want it. You gotta want it, and you have to be intentional, and you gotta work every day. That's just what it is. It ain't coming. And nobody owes you anything. You gotta go get it. You gotta figure out a plan to get it. You gotta do the work. And it's like everybody said, oh, you gotta do the work. And it's like, but that shit is real. You have to sleep, eat, drink, shit, whatever, and you got to be a student of it. Yeah. You got to constantly learn, like, okay, and some days are administrative days. I'm like, okay, so what research I need? Okay, so let me connect, let me send email. You know what I'm saying? So this is a job, and people think, oh, it's not. No, is it? Get up like you would get up to go to somebody's set and go to work. Be serious. That's my advice. Be serious about it if you want to do it.
So I'm with you, and I'm in the baby step camp of every day you have to do something towards your goal every day. And, I have children, I have a full life, and a whole other company, but every day I do something, towards that goal of finishing this film project that I'm working on, or building the brand, something. But I will push back a little, right? We come from hustle. We come from, and I do feel, I don't know if strength is the word, or I have a better understanding about taking those moments, right? And it sounds like that's perhaps your prayer or meditation time, but oh
Painting,
my gosh, the downloads that come in those moments that you do step away. And it's hard for me still, if I'm being completely honest. Like, even this last weekend, I had 4 hours, maybe it was 3, and I wanted to work so badly. And I knew that I just needed to take a breath. And every moment I still just wanted to, I said, and we come from that generation, but I do believe that there is something, yes, be serious, but let a little laugh in here and there. You know what I mean? Which I know.
When I say be serious, I mean be serious about life. I'm serious about my prayer life, my reading. I'm serious about going to the gym. I'm gonna go after this. I'm serious about painting. Serious about every aspect of your life, not just work, because we know that it don't work that way, because we come from, like you said, the grind, and we just grind and work, and it's like I've learned how to grind in other ways.
Balance. It's the
Balance.
balance. And I feel like that balance is what makes our lives full, to even be able to create and see the things that need to be created.
Right.
You know?
Right. You got to be a vessel. You got to be a vessel, and you got to slow down in order to hear what they say. You got to, be quiet enough to hear God's whispers and not the enemy's shouts. You know what I'm saying? You got to be quiet enough sometimes to hear what should I do. We can't keep going, because God said, okay, go ahead. You know everything, go ahead. So in those moments, we really have to be like, okay, so what should I be doing? And pouring into ourselves. That's what painting does. That's what going to the gym does. That's what reading does. It just, when I got to fill up my cup.
Boogie, thank you so much for making the time to chat. I know we do this often, but it just, I miss you and miss creating with you, and just am so proud of all that you've continued to do and put out in the world. So
same to you. Thank you for, being the iron that helps keep me sharpened too.